the most natural place for a seam, if we had seams, would be would be under the knee and in a curved sort of shape, and that would make your eye think that it's a rounded form, which it is anyway, but it just adds to it. So I've come up, and actually if you look at your clothing, it's designed in similar ways. So for example, around you'd have, instead of it going straight across the top of your leg, the seam would come up at an angle, and it's a bit more flattering. So, and I try to do as few seams as possible now in the body, so, and I know the best place to put them. I always start any figure with the thigh, and I don't know why I do that. I want to tell you. If you imagine, so imagine, say, from under your knee to the top of your hip, it's a huge expanse actually. You imagine it, taking that skin off, sounds awful, and opening it out. What shape would that be? It's quite mathematical really. So if you think about when you were at school and you did, yes, it's kind of cone shaped, isn't it? The average circumference of a thigh, let's say mine, is about 22 inches, or at least it was before Christmas. So I'm going to cut about 22, so it's about 22 by 22. Yeah, they're just wire cutters, they're just aviation. So I cut a square out. Obviously I'll have a lot of offcuts, but I always use my offcuts, they never get wasted. So before I had these logs, the luxury of these logs, I realised I needed to make rounded shapes, and I didn't know how to do it, so I used my mum's pots and pans without asking her. And so she'd go into the cupboard to get the pans out and they weren't there. And she'd go mad, and then when I gave her them back, they were all scratched and I'd taken all the non-stick off. What do they say about something being the mother of invention or something? Necessity. So this is what, and I realised as well that actually pans weren't very good because they were metal, and metal gets shocked, you know, when you hammer it and it springs back and it's not a nice feeling. So I realised I needed wood to take the shock away. So and I have lots of logs at home that I've used over the years, and because they're just pine, they eventually become very worn and soft, but I kind of love them, you know, there's something about them that's special. So you just got to know. So as I started, kind of know what I'm doing a bit, and now, so I'm going to start cutting into it to make it easier for me. Okay, so they're muscles, and I'm just going to put a bit of definition on the knee. Actually, the weightier the hammer, the better. You know, it's like a pen. You know, you get a pen with a really nice weight. You feel like you can write better with it somehow. I can start to put it together. So, and then the way I do that is just with pliers. I simply take they're called nibs. When you cut the mesh, you have the long strands of wire at the end, and they're called nibs. And then you just fold it over like that. I would just sort of, wow. You see that to me? You can't sometimes see the definition so much, but. And then when it comes to this bit, once you've done all the shaping and you're ready for it to come together, the folding over bit you can sort of sit and do while you're watching telly or having a coffee, and it's really therapeutic actually, quite a meditative thing to do. So yeah, so there you go. There's a rough shape of a leg. You only need kind of a few deft strokes. Faces on my fingers, in that they don't have they're not recognisable as people or as personalities or anything. And I think if I do that, it gives it a different element that I'm not into, and you focus on the face. I was just saying to somebody before that quite often, if I want something to look a bit more solid, I've used resin to dip in, and that covers some of the holes. Or sometimes I've re-dipped things in a galvanised zinc dip, and if you pull it out of the bath very slowly, it sticks into some of the holes, but not all of them. So you get this lovely effect where it's partially solid and partially open. So at the minute I'm just doing for you a head and showing you that actually it doesn't take much to make something into a face. If you leave nothing for the onlooker to imagine, you kind of take some of the joy out of it actually, and people quite like to fill in the gaps themselves. So this is what I essentially do with the faces. So I would start off with something like that, and then I would cut into where the ears would be at the top, and then go down there. Use my pliers. When I work with the smaller mesh, I use the pliers a lot more, not just to fix it together, but to form shapes and give a bit of detail. The pliers are just like, I've used them so much they're like an extension of my hands. And in my studio, I'll make a cup of tea and I'll just use these to take it out. Eat my biscuits.
Would you mix different sizes of mesh on the same figure?
Would I what?
Would you mix different sizes of mesh on the same figure?
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I don't know why that is. It doesn't look right. So I just try to stick with one type of mesh. So it's starting to look a bit more like a face. So I'll sort of take the centre of it, where the chin would be. More hammering. And I spend a lot of time in my studio. As you know, it's very time consuming, isn't it? It takes hours and hours, especially running up to an exhibition or the deadline for a commission. I just work sometimes all night. In fact, just recently I had an exhibition in November down in Teddington, and I worked the whole weekend. I hardly had any breaks, and then I worked all night. Finished at 5:45 in the morning when I had to then go and get my daughter up to school. And it was, it's hard sometimes.
It's so difficult.
Yeah. So you can see, getting a bit of forming the chin here, and then as soon as you do this, suddenly it becomes a face. Very quickly, you don't need to put eyelashes or eyebrows on, and I quite like that they don't have a personality there. They don't have an expression, so it's all about the body. But yeah, so there you go. Anybody like to have a little go? To feel it? I'll pass this round so you can do with wire. I specialise in figure, but you can make all sorts of things, abstract forms and practical things. And I think you have to be passionate about your subject, and this is my subject, and anatomy fascinates me.